This is the UK Brand Show with Penny Williams and Mark Challoner.
Well, good morning, good afternoon, good evening, wherever you are in the world. Welcome to the UK Brand Show. Hello, Penny.
Hello, Mark. How are you?
I'm very well. Are you?
Yeah, very good. Thank you. Yeah, in between the showers and the sunshine. All good.
Now, the thing that's happened in the last time since we spoke is we've had the Queen's Jubilee. And you being an event organizer, and you put on lots of big shows, I know, for things like in Kent and Leeds Castle and places like that. What did you think of the show for the Queen's Jubilee?
Well, for those that follow me on LinkedIn, they will have seen my comments, which was, oh my goodness, so good to see the event industry back. And yeah, what a great production show. I did actually, so like a friend of a friend on LinkedIn, he said it was his sister that produced all the light shows and everything else. Oh, wow. I mean, yeah, it was stunning. And don't underestimate how hard it is to manage 3 stages in that sort of environment with the classical orchestra at the back, drones, lighting, video.
Aren't drones really clever what they can do with them now?
Absolutely brilliant. And I just thought those images were so queeny. And
the corgi and the potted tea and stuff.
That's right. Yeah, I just thought it was tremendous. From some of the acts a bit questionable. We could have possibly done better in terms of more British acts, but
I thought you meant me and you. Yeah, we could have done better than Diana Ross.
Yeah. And
it was a great spectacle, wasn't it? That was a thing.
It was, and I know people really got cross with the tech guys for her microphone, but if she didn't rock up early enough and didn't do a sound check, you just, that's what happens in live events. Stuff happens. And, yeah. So very
I've got the bad fortune of going to, not the bad fortune of going to Glastonbury, but I'll be at Glastonbury. She's doing the Legend spot this year. So I may avoid it twice.
Yeah.
But anyway, it was a great show though overall, wasn't it?
It was great feel-good factor, and I thought the opening was tremendous. I thought the ending was quite flat actually, but the opening was absolutely stunning. So no, great to see the event industry coming back, and a lot of my friends in the sector are really busy. Lots happening. People are going back to events. We've got the Leeds Castle concert on the 9th of July. So again, the patriotic side of that, it's a good proms evening.
And just while you're talking about that, because we do have a big audience down in Kent, of course. So just what's happening on the 9th of July?
So 9th of July, Leeds Castle concert. It's been running now for over 45 years. It's very much proms with the Royal Philharmonic Orchestra, soloists, cannons, fireworks, Spitfire flyover, wave your flag and sing along. It's it is in my personal opinion, it's the best event in Kent.
Well, I've been to it once in the past, as you know, and I thought it was fantastic. And the Spitfire came over and stuff. It was brilliant. Really great show. So you do an amazing job there.
Such a beautiful setting as well. 12,000 people picnicking. We've been fortunate to have sunshine every year. So hopefully this year people will be having sunshine and PIMS.
Exactly right. Well, since we last spoke, as well as the Queen's Jubilee, I've been doing the conference circuit.
You have?
So I've been to something called the Chief Disruptor Conference, which I'll come back to later. And I've been to the annual Mobile Marketing Association conference, both of which were in-person conferences. It was great to be back at a real conference with real people in front of you.
Oh, it is. No, it really is.
And my news association, we had our annual World Congress. Now, this was the last time it'll be virtual. So it was a virtual conference, sadly, because we're a networking association at the end of the day. And as you and I know, there's nothing like a face-to-face, is there, with people. But this was the last time. So next year, the conference I went to will be in New York, and it'll be a proper in-person conference. But what I want to do, I was asked to speak at this conference about future of advertising, and I thought it was quite relevant. and some of the content from the conference was quite relevant to our audience, with mainly SMEs today. So what I'm going to do, I'm going to share my screen, if you'll allow me, and I will just share my screen. There we go. Can you see that?
Yes, indeed.
Right, indeed. So there we go. So I thought I'd share a few thoughts about, because I think this is highly relevant for what we talk about on this show. So I'll start from scratch anyway, to give people a flavour of what it was all about first, and then I'll go into the presentation. So so this was the, as I said, the International News Media Association, and it's basically all the world's newspapers. So there are, members from all around the globe. INMA.org is the website if anyone wants to check it out. And it's something what we call our annual World Congress. And as I say, normally it'll be face-to-face, but this year was the last time, I think 3 years now, it's been going as a virtual event. So it's nearly 100 years old, the association. It's a non-profit association. It's there for the members. People pay a membership fee if you're a media company, or if you're an individual and you want to join, you can join us for an individual small fee. And you can get all the stuff that's attached to the association. There's 20,000 members worldwide, and any major newspaper in the world, you care to mention the Times of India, the Telegraph in London, I don't know, the Sydney Morning Herald, the New York Times, they're all members of this association. And it's all about, this mantra is all about sharing ideas, inspiring change. So we get together and we bring things to people through reports and conferences and seminars and webinars, all the stuff you see there. And we bring the latest ideas, which are about newspapers. As you know, it's your background too, there are less people buying physical newspapers these days than ever before. It's all going online or on mobile, and all very much about a digital age and subscriptions and digital, etc., etc. And so it's all about bringing the latest developments in that and how they transition their businesses into the digital age, while print, for many, many of them, are still the cornerstone to what they do. I mean, a lot of revenue still comes from print, that's for sure. But it's how they incorporate the digital world as well as the legacy world. So that's what that's all about. And the association now has a number of what we call initiatives. So we have particular verticals such as data, subscription, newsroom. In fact, I'll show you, if this was the actual conference, I'll show you what those initiatives are about. So it was about 20 hours of programming across a number of weeks, because you realize that in a Zoom world, which we're all familiar with now, you can't just bombard people for days on end. This would normally be a 2 or 3 day conference, and you can't do that on Zoom. People just get Zoom fatigue. Yeah. So what we do is break it up over a number of weeks. So it features, great case studies, great keynotes from around the world, and it focuses on 7 areas. And those areas are the emerging trends in news media, many of which are relevant to whatever business you're in. Then it's all about data manipulation, how you actually tackle data from customers, how you get it, how you exploit it, how you manipulate it for your own benefit and for the reader experience as well. How you bundle value into subscription models. It's not just about saying, buy this from us now, buy this newspaper from us now because it's great. We've got to give people a reason. What's the value proposition for them in all of this? How a product mindset, so no matter what business you're in, how does your mindset change based on the products and services that you give to your customers? And we're seeing great results when you put a lot of effort and resort into how you shape the product that you give to your customers. And what's the growth path ahead, not just for news media, it was for this conference, of course, but what's the growth path ahead? There are certain parallels which apply to all. And then finally, which is particular to the news industry, of course, about newsrooms and what's the bridge, the business of news. So it's not just about people writing stories anymore. People are going to be accountable for what they write, what people click on, for example, in the digital world, what they don't click on, who are the star performers, etc., etc. Everybody has a business case these days, no matter what part of the business you're in. And that's the key thing, I think, making people accountable for what they do. So we had a number of various speakers from various places. You can see there from Condé Nast, from News UK, that's the Sun and the Times in the UK. O Globo, big thing in big media company in Brazil, Torstar Canada, and a number of these product initiatives, and yours truly you see on the right hand side there. So these are some of the speakers we had, and these are those initiative people. This is what they do. So there were 7 people being identified as knowing a bit about the subject, and there's an advertising one which I lead, and there's a digital platform, newsroom, product initiative, Readers First, which is all about the science behind digital subscriptions, as I mentioned earlier, and data, how we tackle data, how we, as I say, extract it, manipulate it, and exploit it. So I was asked to talk about the state of media advertising. So I was asked to talk about, this is what was on the program. I was asked to talk about the rise of advertising formats, because they're changing by the day. Types of very intuitive things which engage people more, which they feel better about engaging with, rather than just being an intrusion, as some advertising can be. There are some websites I see, even to this day, where the amount of pop-ups and stuff, and which all go onto the screen, and they're just annoying. You must have seen them, you see them yourself all the time, Pen, where you just want to I just want to read a story. I've clicked on something to read a story, and all I get is pop-up, get rid of it. You've got to make the experience better today in this day and age, because people are getting more savvy about what they like and what they want and what they don't want. And it's also about, what are the revised sales teams of the future going to look like, again, in any business. What are your salespeople selling, and what should they be selling in the future? Is the legacy thing before, and I'm talking mainly, I guess, legacy now in terms of pre-pandemic, it's what we sold to our customers pre-pandemic. Should it be the same as what we sell now? Has the world changed? Well, perhaps it has. And, and in this case, I left this in today to talk about the new role of print, because a lot of people listen to this show are buyers of print as part of their advertising mix, in magazines, in newspapers, in leaflets and pamphlets and things. So where does print still fit into the advertising mix, if you like, or the advertising fix, if you like? And that all involves about how we take this first party data, and I'll explain a little bit about it in a minute, the rise of branded content, and again, I'll explain that, and what we should be selling when the world goes programmatic. And that's all about ways we can sell advertising through our website these days in a programmatic way. And what that means, if you're not anyone's really sure about that, there are ways where we can sell an audience to an advertiser electronically now. I'm not going to go into the massive detail on that right this minute. If anybody wants to contact me later, I'll gladly explain it to them. But it's basically, there are ways we can sell out our advertising inventory to an advertiser on our website through something called programmatic and real-time bidding. People bid on an ad, and the highest bidder basically gets the ad. It's a whole new world, but it's quite a significant world. So in the world where that's all going programmatic, what's the true value of the other propositions of the platforms? So that was about. So this was a shorter version of the presentation I did. And I sort of said, it's all about really 3 things. And I guess it's more about, I added a 4th one actually later, which was 4 C's. So creativity, cookies, collaboration. And I would add context to that as well. And again, I'll explain what that is in a second. So, cookies, for instance, historically, brands have analyzed their customers. They've created profiles based on demographics through the use of cookies. Computer remembers where you've got to last time, and it'll serve you ads, and it'll serve you content based on what you've done in the past. However, the significant changes afoot, hitting the industry, pushing brands to rethink how they find and connect with customers. So Google announced it was ending the support for third-party cookies. So all the people that make, that unless it's directly with a website that you want to go on and got content, and you've memorized something which will be classed as first-party data, anybody else that's giving you information that you're relying on will be ceasing to exist. Third-party cookies will go by the end of next year. So advertisers have had their hands forced, if you like, in looking for new ways to reach audiences. So post-pandemic, understanding audience will be really crucial to communication effectively in a world where privacy is at the top of every news and advertising agenda. And that's what this is all about, privacy. You know, you can't just assume that people want your information unless they specifically ask for it. It all's tied up to the whole world of GDPR. So, you know, I've been asking, in our case, media companies over the world, and it could be any company, not just media, but I've been asking media companies about what their concerns are about this death of the cookie. And they're mainly around what we can do right now, about what our advertisers want from us. And is this all a threat or is it an opportunity? So it's really important that any company, big or small, media or not, use the period between now and the end of 2023 to construct a first-party data strategy, which is getting data based on their own efforts rather than relying on third parties to do so for them, because that won't exist. So rather than wait, it's best to start all that now. So first-party data will be crucial in understanding who specifically is consuming your content and making sure advertisers can easily, creatively, and intelligently target different audience sectors or your total audience, if that's what they want. So you should speak to your tech providers, because everybody with their website will have different providers of technology, or it's just maybe it's a consultant, a digital consultant. And we need to be speaking to these guys about ways to enhance first-party data assets, the ones we own, as it is a seismic change. And we'll see a lot of innovation around all of this. So the more liaisons we have with those tech suppliers and advertisers as well, what they want from us about the implications for them, the much more likely they are to appreciate our insights and our knowledge on the matter and give them new ideas and positive ways of working with us. And one of the solutions that, you know, I'm sort of quite personally interested in is contextual advertising. So contextual advertising is a form of targeted advertising where website content and keywords are analyzed in real time to determine the suitability for a brand's message. So contextual targeting doesn't use search or browsing history or cookies, and therefore it respects the customer's personal data. So we've seen the ad tech landscape change hugely over the last few years, with privacy and customer trust contributing quite a lot towards this shift. So data collection and cookies are basically at a poor PR. They're often viewed as being infiltrating private information and even stealing data. So with ads, they're following customers around the net. As digital advertising continues to battle with these consumer negative perceptions and all the stuff I mentioned earlier about pop-up ads and things like that, the onus is on advertisers to find creative ways in which they can recover trust, I guess. And media people find out, you know, with all the fake news on social media, etc., that's very prevalent to them. So they need to serve, this is brands, need to serve engaging ads that fit seamlessly into web pages and can enhance the user experience. So the ad industry is adapting, and we've got to do that too, wherever we are, whether you're a small business on the high street or a big media company, we've got to do it all as well. So while contextual advertisements it has become, I guess, one reliable alternative to cookies, advertisers have seen a number of other solutions as well. So many brands now are turning, as I said, to this zero or first-party data collection. That's data collected directly from their customers. So I'll explain what that is. So your customers sign up for, say, a newsletter from your website, and in doing so, they share their personal information, such as their name or their email address. And that's the first-party data element. Or maybe it's their marketing preferences. That's the zero-party data bit. And it therefore allows brands to better target individual prospects or existing customers to convert or even retain them. And there's also this thing called the rise of universal IDs. So it's also helping advertisers continue to target customers without the need for cookies. So a single identifier that recognizes users across multiple platforms. In essence, it removes the need for third-party software to sync the data. So the benefit here is that the user experience isn't affected. The software used to sync cookie information between platforms has basically meant that websites became slow and clunky, but the universal ID removes the pain barrier and enables brands to track and target users more accurately. It's sort of complex, but it should all be part of a collaborative sell we help our advertisers or maybe our agencies with. And, you know, I think there's a lot of young media planners in agencies that don't really get this. And I think if we can provide guidance or expertise or insights, you know, we're all, you know, either ourselves or via our digital consultants, we'll have someone who helps us with our digital journey. If we can help our advertisers understand that too, don't assume that they do, because they don't necessarily do. So anyway, before I get on my soapbox there, so and creative selling. What about us promoting ourselves as a more brand friendly, safe place to advertise? So in an area, as I say, of fake news and the like, and we find a lot of it on social media, as I said, do we shout about this to our advertisers on our websites? Do we compare ourselves to other media, for example? Do we try and stack up ourselves in comparison? I've mentioned this guy before, so John Hegarty is the sort of advertising guru from the H and BBH, a big worldwide media company, advertising company. He told me recently, and I met him recently in Soho, and he said to me that he sees it. So, for example, with print, and this is where the print bit comes in. He says, I still think, he said, if it's in print, I know I can trust it. I think all newspapers the world over should promote this. And it's something we don't as an industry, actually. Yeah. We don't actually do that. It's quite an interesting take. So I mentioned creativity being important. And many people are now looking at advertising opportunities in a more comprehensive way, from branded content, something I mentioned at the start, which is seamlessly incorporating advertising into editorial on the website. Now you got to correctly label it as such, of course, but things like partnering with big tech too, promoting safe place to advertise, collaboration with other people in the industry. Can we all, as a body, create a bigger force than we can on our own? And commerce, what do we do about other commerce that we bring into our website? Do we sell other stuff which is relevant? News media are doing that now. They sell all sorts, from holidays to there's a magazine company, Auto Trader, I think it is, who actually sell cars as well now, rather than just advise you on cars. They're going into commerce world, and there's a lot of legacy media leaders, I'd say, in this space. The ones I've named on the side of the screen there, to name a few. So it's worth looking at. What do we do to monetize our own website more than what we might have done pre-pandemic? Is the page. So in an area where we've got things like programmatic, this way you can sell automatically, what will we require there for our sales teams to actually sell in the future? So I sell, I host an email webinar every week for members. And in a recent one, we talked about programmatic with the media giant called Extra Bladet in Denmark. And interestingly, they've seen a slowdown of advertising since the lockdown has eased. And that's the programmatic slowdown I'm talking about. And the reason is, although it's an established part of business now for many, at the same time, they think the slowdown is due to, they think, salespeople not being able to talk or visit people in person. It's interesting. So, perhaps this shows the importance of the human interface, maybe after all. That doesn't mean to say it's necessarily right for everyone. You've got to make out what's right for you. When thinking about how we structure our future sales teams, what skills do we want from them? And here's a creative thought. What if we try to automate everything we're able to? There's a big company in America called McClatchy, and they're massive. They're like the Trinity Mirror, or Reach as they're now called, in the UK. They own lots of regional media around the country in the US. And they're basically automating everything they can. Everything like self-service advertising, stuff like that. So they think the future for them is about less, but more skilled salespeople. Interesting. So they reckon the pandemic has changed the way they've focused everything. So it doesn't mean to say that's right for everyone, but you've got to work out what is right for you by just, trial and error, I guess, in some ways. So creativity, cookies, collaboration, conclusion. In summary, I think the future of advertising, from my point of view, is that it's all about getting closer. It's about understanding advertiser thinking, their ethos. How do we get them to advertise with us on our websites? What are their weaknesses in their educational, their learning perhaps? And then challenging all of that in a post-pandemic world. And then inspiring them to sort of greater heights, maybe through our own salespeople or digital consultants or service providers, help them to understand this new world, because everybody's still in the learning phase. We still are. We're all learning in all this. We're all in this together in many ways. So the phrase, which you've all heard about being ahead of the curve, it gets used a lot, but it's never quite as easy as it sounds. It requires a basic, detailed understanding of the industry with great creativity and foresight to predict the next move before it's made. And the fallout from the death of the cookie creates an interesting outlook for the next few years for everyone. So I think many advertisers will be forced to rethink strategies, and the ad industry will go through a transition period. And I think a wide range of new creative solutions is going to be tried and tested, and there'll be certainly winners and losers. However, no one should win more than the customer, because, with our help, we should be encouraging our advertisers to place a higher focus on the user experience, and we should do that ourselves anyway. If we're advertising somewhere, it's the user experience which is going to be important and give them value for money in an attempt to deliver better results. So, your industry and your customers, whoever you are, will then see a truly human-first data experience. The brands will, develop trust, and they'll increasingly, deliver to what is now a more skeptical customer base. People are more skeptical these days. People are more savvy about digital things. The bar's being raised all the time. Every time a new iPhone comes out, the bar's raised, isn't it? In terms of doing what it can't do.
Really?
Who talk about AR and VR stuff? It's coming to life now suddenly because of things like the metaverse, as we heard from Stephen Shaw the other week. So anyway, those that who build this strong bond through accurate targeting and greater customer engagement and closer ties with advertisers will come out on top in this sort of hugely competitive advertising market. You add technology can have a huge impact on the effectiveness of advertising campaigns, but any slow or delayed response to the market movements and trends, I'm thinking, third-party cookies again, it can lead to billing and falling behind to attract customers, and importantly, and that's bad news for us as well as them. So the sooner we all look to the future and plan ahead and plan to tackle it, and the quicker we'll be seen by the right people at the right time, and therefore reap the benefits. So that was sort of what I sort of presented. And I've just added a couple of things in. At the very end of the conference, our friend Earl Wilkinson from Dallas, he gave his take on the whole world at the very end of the conference on the last day. And he said, the questions about advertising that should keep CEOs up at night, he thought were, where do humans fit in the chain of ad sales? The stuff is, what should we automate and what should we keep as human? What should they be selling, the people that we do have? Is it a change now? In the future, the boots on the streets, the actual people, is it that? Is it just people having lots of people on commission, or is it about high-end consultancy, fewer highly paid people, which is that McClatchy company again? So what should we automate and what we should put through things like programmatic? How do we take data and make it digestible for sales reps and advertisers to understand, and therefore again back to this human conversation? And to what degree do we take our finger off the concentration on the bigger things? If we're a company that's advertising on various platforms, whether it's on print or TV or mobile or whatever it might be, how do we shift to become more solutions based? How do we offer a wider thing rather than have lots of different, well, maybe TV might be good for you if you're lucky to have the budget, maybe radio would be good for you, whatever. How do we give a more complete package in terms of to advertisers, which is more about what they want rather than what we try to sell them? Right. And I think what we can expect from advertising going forward is we are seeing a slowdown, as I highlighted in the presentation, a slower growth in things like social and search, but we are seeing accelerated growth in things like retail advertising, connected TVs, audio, like podcasts and video advertising for sure. So there's lots of upside opportunities, whatever business you're in, whether it's in a rebirth of things like classified advertising, whether it's digital, and Earl highlighted the McClatchy experience of when they were trying to automate stuff. You can see what they're doing on the right-hand side on that little chart. You can see basically what that's showing is that they're being more audience-driven, the blue segment now in 2022, post-pandemic, trying to focus on the customer experience more and giving the customer what they want rather than what the media company think they want. So, so the legacy stuff is becoming smaller as we try and become bigger in digital. That's what they're basically saying, but how we tackle it is the important thing. And things like e-commerce, how can we sell stuff to people which are relevant to them? Do you remember we had Imogen Heap on the show, the artist, and she talked about the blockchain. It reminded me of this, e-commerce. She talked about, you remember, how she uses the blockchain to sell stuff. So she uses digital technology to say, look, I'm going to maybe do a tour in your country. Would you buy tickets? Tell me, and I might come to your country if we get enough response. Or you can see what I, as an artist, what I'm reading, what clothes I buy, etc., through the blockchain. And you can go and buy the stuff through e-commerce as well. And I reminded me of that when I heard this, when Elle was talking about it. It's exactly what she was talking about. So anyway, there's lots of things that which are affecting the future. That's the key thing. So that's the outcome of it all. That was what the whole INMAR conference was about. What I'm going to do at the next show, Penny, I'm going to try and track down the speaker to come and present to us. If we can't, then I've got the presentation deck and I will share what this lady presented to us at the INMAR conference. And what I'm talking about is a lady called Tammy Erickson, and she's a fellow in organizational behavior at the London Business School. And she was a brilliant presenter, and she talked about 10 things which organizations say, not media, forget media for a minute now, this is organizations generally, what 10 things which shape organizations in this digital world, which shouldn't be shaped by the company. They're all legacy things, which are how we treat people, how we get people to contribute, our salespeople or our staff generally, how we recruit the right talent, and all the things that we tend to have done in the past. Now in a post-pandemic world, and that's what she's talking about, how we actually change how we restructure our company. And it was a brilliant presentation, which I thought was brilliant for our audience here as well. So the next show, we'll talk about that. And there is a sort of part 3-ish, and I say ish because I mentioned up front at the start today, I've been to the Chief Disruptor Conference, and they talked about how disruption, again, companies big and small, whatever industry, this was not a media conference, this was a general business thing. How we treat customers is really crucial, and how we treat our staff going forward is really important. It's a sort of part 3 in the next stage after the lady from the London Business School. And they had people like Virgin Money talking about how they are changing the world in terms of customer service and what people expect from us now, and how we deliver what people expect, and their principles which can be applied to, as I say, a small business on the high street to a big media organization, anyone in between, a big brand or an agency. So we will get to that at a future show as well. So anyway, I hope that was all useful.
Well, I was going to say, I think a lot of what you've presented there, actually, you can apply a lot of those principles to any business. It's not just media. And I think that the pandemic has, as we've said on this show before, accelerated consumer changes in habits, and also challenged so many companies. I've just done all morning I've been interviewing people who've applied for a local business award, and listening to their stories of how, and do you know what, one of the key words everyone used was having to pivot. So or turn on a sixpence. So each business, whether it was actually a brand new company or had been going several years, had to really look at changing what they did. You know, some obvious things like moving online, but some just sort of reinventing themselves. And I think it's a very challenging time right now. I think one company said to me she thinks it's tougher than it was during the pandemic, because there was this sort of support and everyone was in the same boat. And now coming out, you've got challenges from the Ukraine war and cost of living, but actually cash is tight and there's no support, so it's actually tougher right now. And so I think all those are really relevant to a lot of the points that you've just presented.
I think there's a lot we can learn from other industries, is the point, really. And I think there's a lot that media companies can learn from looking at a small business on the high street, and vice versa. It doesn't mean to say that if you're a big company, then there's nothing you can learn as a small company, and the other way around. The principles of business are the same in many, many industries. And as I said earlier, we're all in this together in many ways, no matter who you are and what you are. And we just need to get a grip. I think that the fundamental thing, most of all, is the future is all about creating a better experience for customers. I remember talking about this years ago on this show. This future equation of, technology plus creativity plus data equals a better customer experience. I've been talking about that for years, and it's exactly right, more than ever now, I think.
100%.
So anyway, there we go. Enough for me.
That's good. So you can contact us on Facebook at the UK Brand Show, and also website to listen to previous shows, ukbrandshow.co.uk.
Indeed, you can. So thank you, everyone, for joining us. We'll be back soon with part 2, which is all about how we tackle our restructuring, I guess, of our companies in a post-pandemic world, and the 10 lessons which this lady from London Business School talked about, which we should be waking up to. And they're, as I say, highly relevant, whoever you are in business and whatever industry you're in.
Looking forward to it.
We'll see you again soon.
See you soon.
Bye, everyone.